All right. Well, thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your schedule. And yeah, I'm just so excited to finally have you here. Andrea's mentioned you a bunch of times and was like, we need to get him on this. So I'm really glad that we can finally get you here. First question would just be like, what made you get into real estate? Did you always kind of want to get into this business, or was it something that kind of just you kind of just got into later on?
So the way that I came across real estate was my friend Aaron, man. He's the one that actually introduced it to me. At the time, I was working at a law firm downtown Boston called Laurie and Cutler. And I always used to say, I was in the location, but I didn't really have a purpose. And when he introduced real estate to me, I automatically fell in love because, it doesn't really go off of your history or your prior experience, but more off of your effort that you put towards it today. So
That's really interesting. And so now, obviously, being in the real estate business, I'm actually a little curious because obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic.
mhm.
How has that been affecting you and your business? I know I've heard that I think like there's been a lot of houses that are being bought like now out in the suburbs. I don't know what's happening in Boston. So if you could elaborate a little on that.
Well, if you ask me, the real estate business is still booming. I actually probably had my best years during COVID.
Really?
Yeah, but I work a lot with investors and I do like a lot of development and things of that nature. So what I found during this pandemic is certain areas that used to be very strong, they began to lack a little bit more. Take for instance with Brighton, because all the college students weren't here to occupy the homes. A lot of the landlords in the area were no longer able to get their properties rented. So then that may allow them to force to sell. But what has helped them is that you have a lot of first time home buyers because the interest rates are so low. So it's kind of like, you know, uh, giving wealth from one generation to the next in a way, if you think about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So now I guess I kind of want to know a little bit about you personally. Um, I would love to know, like, obviously you're here, you were a West End House alumni. I'd love to know about your time here, like what stood out to you.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, like your transition, I guess, because you were a kid, a part of this program, and then now you're an adult and you decided to get into the real estate business. So I'd love to know more about your younger years and what stood out to you.
Yeah. So I come from a family of like the Boys and Girls Club. All my siblings went there, and I'm the youngest of all of them. I'm the youngest of six, actually. Yeah. So, all my siblings went to the Boys and Girls Club. So I was kind of already part of the family since I was a child, even before I was even able to go to the Boys and Girls Club. But the one thing that I learned from the Boys and Girls Club is that, they place so many different opportunities in front of you. And I think that's the biggest benefit that I got from going to the Boys and Girls Club because I swear I done it all. Like I did break dancing there. I made beats there. I played basketball. That was always my first love there. Photography, swim team, you name it. You know what I mean? And I think it was pretty cool at the fact that they place all these opportunities in front of you. And then as a kid, you want to do everything. And then you finally realize what you love. And then it kind of helps you guide towards the career path that you want to learn. You know what I mean? So I always found that pretty cool about the Boys and Girls Club. Um, but I stopped going around like 12 years old or so, maybe a little bit older. But at the same time, they always welcome me back as family, and that's one thing about the Boys and Girls Club is once you're a part of the team, they treat you as family forever.
And you mentioned kind of like with real estate, it's all about the effort that you put into it versus like what's ever like in your past. And I was
Right.
wondering, do you feel like you kind of had a windy road to get there because you mentioned your past or
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had a lot of growing and learning experience throughout my time of life. but I've always been into business. I mean, the Boys and Girls Club had a lot to do with that as well. To always say, like, they taught me how to conduct myself in an interview at 12 years old, like not to seat and how to build out a resume, and they kind of prepare you for life at a very young age. So I've always been into business, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing basketball. I stopped playing probably in like 10th grade, and
Yeah,
I just dedicated myself to business. And real estate is honestly the same exact thing as any other business. It's just a different product, you know. So
that's interesting. And then, so what would you say would be maybe like your best advice to the members here right now or to young alumni who are kind of still trying to figure things out for themselves?
um, the best thing that I could say is, everybody grows on their own time. There's no book that's written of life where you have to meet certain chapters at certain ages, and everybody has their time to shine. And sometimes you just have to put forth that effort or know what you want and just go chase it. And if you're able to do that, then things will happen for you.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Yeah, I feel like the more I talk to alumni, the more I kind of learn about the fact, like, it seems like a lot of people say or feel the same way now that they're adults. Like, it just will take time to figure out what you want to do and what's right for you.
Yeah,
And it's just nice to have opportunities to figure
right.
that out. And
Exactly.
yeah, and
A lot of trial and error, honestly. But
yeah.
so, you know what I mean? It's all about growing and learning. So
And where do you see maybe yourself later on down the line? You like what you're doing right now, being in real estate. Do you see yourself continuing in that and maybe rising, I guess, up in that field in any way, or maybe doing other projects or anything like that?
so the reason why I became an agent is so that way I could build enough capital to begin to invest in the things that I choose. I definitely want to become a real estate investor. I mean, I love being an agent and everything like that, but I kind of want the whole cookie and not a crumb.
Yeah, no.
So that's pretty much my goals right there. I mean, I'm in the process of trying to establish my first investments now, so that way, hopefully down the line they could pay me back in the future.
That's really cool. I would have never thought about that. And what kind of draws you into hopefully going into investing into real estate?
Well, um, so I grew up in Brighton, and across the street was a big time real estate investor that lives here in Brighton, and him and his brother probably owns like all of Calm Ave and like literally all of Brighton.
Probably own where I live then.
Yeah, and like growing up, I never even knew that he was a man of of that stature. I never knew that he had that many properties, and all he used to do is just sit in the corner store all day, him and his wife and his kids, and he really established himself, in the Brighton community. He has a lot of respect here and things of that nature. So I feel like with real estate, not only is it a way for me to create generational wealth for my family to come, but then also it's a way for me to give back to my community as well by creating housing that's comfortable for those, and creating housing for affordable housing and things of that nature. So it's always been a goal of mine. Plus, I think it will allow me to lead into, hopefully one day I want to get into politics too. So I feel like it's allowing me to embody myself into the community and get to know people more one on one rather than just a face that appears on a billboard. So
Yeah, that's really great. I love that. I really love that one of your goals is like affordable housing. Thank you so much. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to share with people or the members. You're free to do so.
no,
Um,
I just want to say thank you to the Boys and Girls Club for giving me this opportunity, and actually teaching me a lot of life lessons that I carry with myself all throughout life. And I really just want to show my gratitude to them and say thank you.